I love the face. That is great. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to Wednesday Masterclass. We're only 2 minutes late. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. I'm looking at 2 cameras today. I'm gonna do my best to stay center, but really it's more about TikTok. So if you wanna see me in a beautiful filtered way, you can watch me on TikTok. Guys, you know what time it is. You know what today is all about. I'm gonna stand for a little bit. Observe the dress. Today is all about the Queen of Opera Masterclass. And if you guys have read my previous post on today, you know what we're about to talk about, at least in part. I feel like I owe you guys an apology, so we're gonna talk about it. Okay. Because I have been telling you guys, I don't want to say a lie, that seems extreme, but I've been telling you something that is probably not the most truthful, and I feel like I need to be 100% truthful about this, especially when you're giving someone hope on what it is to be a classically trained singer, the training that it takes, the years that it takes, the effort that it takes. So that's what today's opera masterclass is all about. You guys know what it's all about. Wednesday is masterclass day, and that's why you guys are here. Queen, yes, Prima Diva Live, what's going on? Let me go ahead and bring you into here. That's right, I needed to, oh, that's why I can't, because I don't follow you yet. There you go. Hey. My kingdom, I got this. Guys, we're in for a very fun masterclass. We only have an hour to do it, so I'm gonna jump right in here in just a minute, but not before, of course, singing one piece for you, because isn't that why you like to come? Hola, Jose. Aloha from Florida. Hello, hello. Where are you at in Spain? I'm pretty sure you told me before, but what part of España? Porque mi madre es de Rota, España. There we go. And we're gonna bring you on in. Yeah, we'll make you a moderator on the next one. All right, guys. So, hello from Detroit. Hello, hello. Welcome in. Welcome to my live stream. Today, guys, if you are new and just tuning in and joining us, Wednesdays is the Queen of Opera Masterclass. So that is what we are going to be doing here today. Thank you, Raymar. Thank you, Chad. Aloha from Florida. Today, lo sé, encantado. Igualmente. So guys, we're gonna talk about this. If you saw my last post about today's masterclass, like I said, I feel like I owe you an apology, because a lot of times, especially when I'm doing the masterclasses and when I start to talk about what my experience is with singing, one of the most common questions I get is, are you ever too young, ever too old, ever too whatever to learn how to sing opera? Can anyone learn how to sing opera? And a lot of times I say, yeah, you can. But in my mind, it's with some reservations, right? But I don't really go into what those reservations are, what it's all about. And today we're going to talk about what those are, because there are quite a few, and there are some reasons why not everybody could be an opera singer. Let's just be honest. So before we get into it, Maestro, do you want to choose a piece for me to sing from Google Drive? I'm gonna sing a little bit for you guys. Giving Sade vibes, thank you. Is it a crime? Is it a crime? I'm gonna make that classical as I can. Guys, where are you tuning in from today? I saw Spain, I saw Detroit. Where else are you coming from today? Where are you coming from? Let me see if I can see these comments. There you go, I can see it much better. Where are you watching from today? Today, I am in Big North Philly. All right. The UK, what part of the UK are you coming from? Guys, while you come on in, I'm gonna sing Wicked Games in Italiano. Non fa A lot of UK, hello, hello. Thank you for the love, thank you for the gifts. Wicked Game, I Don't Want to Fall in Love, in Italian. My own rendition, my own backing track, my own Italian mix, basically. So I hope you guys like that. What a song to choose. I'm talking to my producer extraordinaire over here. You will not see him, but I certainly will be seeing all the looks he serves me while I talk to you. So if I ever laugh, you'll know why. All right, guys, for those of you just tuning in, thank you for coming in. Today is Wednesday. If you don't know, Wednesday is all about the masterclass of the Queen of Opera. Queen of Opera Masterclass. We talk about a lot of different things. This is the third official, I guess you could say, episode of the Queen of Opera Masterclass. Last week, we talked all about what bel canto is, what it isn't, who are the composers that are famously known for doing a lot of bel canto repertoire at the height, and then on the tail end, like Verdi, the height was like Bellini, Rossini, all that jazz. And yeah, so now today, what was the week before? It was from beginning to end what my vocal exercises look like from the time I get up until, well, when I am actually singing. Today is going to be about, I love opera. I am attending Fiddler on the Roof here in Atlanta Opera tomorrow night. Very awesome. I hope you have a good time doing that. Is that the Fox Theater? That's where I want to sing at some point. So Holly, thank you so much. Thank you. Guys, I want to say first and foremost before I get into it, and I forget to say this because once I get on a tangent about this masterclass, I am off to the races. I may not see your questions. Feel free to DM them after if you have any questions, any follow-up questions about this. And if you're coming from the other platform, YouTube, jump on over to TikTok and feel free to send DMs. For 24 hours, the DMs will be open to answer any questions that you have. And we have some follow-up handouts that you guys can check out. So I'm gonna tell you now, and then I'll tell you at the end. What I'm about to tell you is absolute gold. It is worth all the money in the world, especially if you are very serious about becoming a classical vocalist. If you wanna know from the very beginning, what kind of mindset do you need? What does it all entail? What are the logistics? That's what today is all about. Career-wise, that is part 2. Today is part 1. How do you get the voice going as a classical vocalist? What do you need to do? And I am so used to telling people, guys, yeah, anybody can become an opera singer for sure because it is a skill that you can learn. But I have to apologize to you because I've been saying that and I realize I have not been telling you the full-on truth, if I'm being honest. Could you put the music on here from YouTube? I haven't, oh, actually, can you put on Ave Maria Schubert? I haven't been telling you guys the complete truth about it because the truth is not everyone can become a classical vocalist because of what it all entails, okay? So I can tell you based on my own personal experience being in school, fan club. Mina, what's going on? Thank you for joining the fan club. The reason why not everyone can, and also because I have been teaching for quite some time, students that have come up that said they wanted to learn the way that I sing, only to find out it takes way more work than they had anticipated. And as a result, they were not too happy with the fact that they had to apply a lot more work. Okay, so we're gonna talk about it. This will be the last song I do, and then we'll get into why, okay? I'll break it down A to Z. Do I speak Spanish? Sí, yo hablo español. Es broma, sí, hablo español. guys so much for the gifts. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Read that opera, unlike other genres of music, improves brain function like memory and motor skills. I could absolutely say it's true. And that perfectly aligns with what we're going to talk about today, as a matter of fact. So there we go. There is Ave Maria. You have to let the music go all the way. What are you doing? What are you doing? There we go. Thank you. All right. So today is all about why not everyone can become a classically trained vocalist, let alone an opera singer, okay guys? That's what we're talking about today. So if you're here because you stopped and you heard me singing Ave Maria and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to hear more, then come back on Friday because I will be going live on Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. Is that what it is, 7 a.m.? Yes. And I'm not sure what time it's going to be in Italy or in Spain, but I know it's going to be earlier than that, okay, or later than that. I'm not very familiar with the time zones off the top of my head right now, but I know for a fact it's 10 a.m. Eastern and 7 a.m. Pacific on Friday. So if that's what you want to see, if you want to hear me sing more, okay, because you put it on. Is it the radio? Oh, well then never mind. I was about to sing Sposa. I'm not gonna sing Sposa. I'm finally gonna talk to you guys because this is a lot of information to cover in about 45 minutes. And so we're gonna get to it, guys. This is what today is about. Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern is always about Wales. What's going on? I know people in Wales. I know a person in Wales. So I'm so glad to see so many people from the UK over here. So today is about what does it take actually, truly, logistically, to become a classically trained vocalist. David, Bubba, Griffin, what is going on? I don't know why every time I say your name, it feels like a tongue twister when I say it. David, Bubba, Griffin. Hello, hello, and welcome in. Thank you for tuning in. So if you guys are here, just know for the next 40 minutes or so, we're gonna talk all about what it actually takes. So if you know somebody who's interested or you're interested, by the end of this, I can assure you, you will know for sure if you're actually cut out to become a classically trained vocalist and what it all entails. Guys, consider this part one, okay? Part one is all about school, okay? So let me just tell you guys a few things because like I've told you, anytime I am doing stuff like this, I'm doing a Q&A session or I'm singing, I get the same questions. What does it take? Am I too old? Am I too young? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think you got to stop thinking like that. It's not so much about that. And that's one of the myths that you can be too young or be too old. I would say the younger you are, the more time you have to study the craft, but it really is about your focus, okay? How much are you willing to dedicate to your craft? And of course that comes with anything, but when it comes to opera singing, classical singing, you have to commit a lot of time. So the first question I would ask you, if you ask me, can I become an opera singer? Can you feasibly dedicate the next 10 years to your voice? 10 years, yes, I said it. Can you dedicate the next 10 years to learning oh so much? And we're gonna go over what you need to learn, but can you do it? Can you take the next 10 years off from doing anything else but focusing on your voice? Do you have the support? Do you have the backing, emotional, financial, and otherwise? Do you have it? Do you have it from yourself? Hello, Brazil. Hi, Maria. How are you? Aloha from Florida. Good to see you today. So, actually about Coco of SWV, just because she's a soprano, school us. Yes, yes, yes. So here it is. Can you commit the next 10 years to your craft, to your voice? If the answer is yes, okay. Well, then we'll see. By the end of everything I say, if you still say yes, then we've gotten somewhere. Okay, then you can tell for yourself. I can't tell you if you're cut out to be a classical singer, and again, let alone an opera singer. I can't tell you, but I can give you the tools that you need to become a classical vocalist, to become an opera singer in school, and then you can tell for yourself if it's something that you can do, if you can feasibly see committing to it. Can you do me a favor? Could you turn on those lights over there so the lights up here? Do that. Thank you. So here are some things. And guys, if you are interested in this handout, once I'm done, it is on my site, the link in my profile under my products. It's the only product there, just so you guys know ahead of time. All right. Here's what you need to know. You need to first of all understand that there's no way around the formal training, school. You may hear stories of some people that they trained with their vocal coach for, 10, 12 years, however long it was. They studied very intensely, somebody picked them up, they were recognized, and then off they went. That's not how it typically happens. Typically what you're gonna have to do is actually there's no way around this, you need to, especially as an American classical vocalist, I'm talking to my US people because I'm US and so I know what it takes, you need to enter into a university before you can even get to a conservatory. Typically, you're gonna be as an undergrad, okay? You need to enter school. School will give you the formal training. This is not something that someone who is classically trained can bring you under their wing. There is so much more to it than just the voice itself, okay? So much more to it. So this is what this process looks like. Take me, for example. I went to the University of Central Florida. This is where I studied classical singing, okay? I had to go in, you'll have an audition. The audition, you have to apply to get the audition just like you would at any university. So not only are you applying for the university to enter into the school itself, once you are accepted into the university, then you are applying for the School of Music. Yes, it is separate and it is niche. They have to accept you. They don't just automatically accept you. Once you apply, if they accept you based on what you've done previously, so let's say you're coming out of high school, you might not have a lot of experience. Some people have extensive experience, believe it or not. Like my kids, for instance, by the time they get into school, into college, they will have more experience than I ever had at their age because they started in an opera company when my daughter was 12 and my son was 10. So they have a lot of experience already, right? So that's gonna weigh heavily on the application process itself. But let's say you at least got past that part to get to the audition, okay? The audition is gonna consist of typically one English piece and another language. So already, if you don't know any other languages besides English, well, at some point you're gonna have to get a piece of repertoire that someone's gonna recommend. Maybe you'll have a coach just to get you ready for the audition. That's very typical. And then you have those two pieces that they may or may not have you audition both of them. You choose the first one, then they choose the second one. That's typically how it goes. This is very general, trying to just get your foot in the door, okay? They're going to judge you on a lot of things, and this judgment, these criticisms never end the following: your diction, your intonation, your breath support, your overall presence is very important. Confidence is absolutely key, but not too much where you don't seem humble. And that's the fun part. We're gonna talk even more about that in just a little bit. Mark Araujo, is that right? I'm attractive. Why, thank you so much, darling. Then, let's say you pass that audition. That is when they give you a voice teacher. They will assign you a voice teacher within the music faculty, the vocal faculty, okay? So let's say you're going strictly for a vocal performance degree, because there are a lot of different degrees that you can get within the music program. You can get a general music that looks a little different, little more general, still music. Music education and vocal performance. And I'm talking strictly on the voice side, right? If you're going for, like me, a vocal performance degree, once you get in, they will assign you a teacher, and that teacher presumably will be your voice teacher for the rest of you being in school. And if all goes well, you will only be in there for 8 semesters. But if anything, a lot of voice students, it can take much longer. It took me 9 years, not even kidding. That was with finding myself, moving to Hawaii, getting married, 2 kids, and then I graduated, surely. But it's not that uncommon. Before I even get into the rest, I want to stop and tell you, getting a vocal performance degree is akin to getting a medical degree. I'm not exaggerating when I say this. The amount of time and effort and energy you have to put in to getting a music, specifically a vocal performance degree, is incredibly intensive. So however much time you think you would need, like double it at least, okay? It takes a lot of time. And as a matter of fact, because I know I have a lot of fans in here, maybe not in here, but in general, that are also students, by a show of hands, put up a yes, I am, I'm here, hands, whatever it is. Are you or have you ever been a voice student? Thank you. Thank you for the crown, looks lovely. Have you ever studied voice, or are you currently studying voice, or are you interested in studying voice. Hello from Slovenia National Orchestra. Oh, it's very nice. Hello, hello. Good to see you. So yes. All right, perfect. So we have a few here. So here are some of the things that you're going to have to understand. Give me just a second. Okay. You absolutely have to understand that this is 100% your life, okay? So when I say it's like a medical degree, I'm not kidding. There's so much that you have to learn intellectually and then you have to put into practice, and this is on a daily basis, okay? So let me break it down what the average 4-year degree and course descriptions look like, okay? So basically, training is a combination of classroom study, applied lessons, ensemble experience, and constant performance evaluation. That's very heavy, okay? Here's what this journey is gonna look like. Okay, a year by year breakdown. Your freshman year, not only do you have to typically do, if you're going straight in, you're not doing like a community college, you go straight into university for this, and you can only get this degree at a university or a conservatory, so on and so forth. But if you're in the US, we're assuming 4-year degree here, okay? Your first year, not only are you gonna have to do your core things, English, math, some form of government, history, social studies, whatever it is. And what am I missing? Science, right? You typically have to do that the first 2 years. So not only do you have to take your core classes, you also have to satisfy your foreign language requirement. Even if you took foreign language in high school, it doesn't matter, you still gotta do it. And you have to go through rigorous music classes. So this is just an example. This is not exaggeration. This was what my first year looked like, okay? Music theory. So you're gonna take music theory 1 and 2. You have 2 semesters of theory 1, 2 semesters of theory 2. So your first year, you're doing music theory 1. Music theory is typically broken down into 2 classes, into ear training and sight singing. It's a lot of pitch perception, a lot of listening to the teacher play. You're like talking about chord progressions, all those things, right? So thank you, you too. You will then have the basic theory, a lot more writing that you have to do. So a lot of times, like I said, it's broken down into 2 classes, and that's what it looks like if it's broken down. So not only do you have to go to the class part A, class 1 part A, music theory 1 part A, but music theory 1B, okay? So you could easily be going to class every single day for different classes all day, all right? I haven't even gotten to the rest. You have to take piano for at least 4 semesters. Piano, even if you're not a vocal performance major, is essential, and you have to pass with a certain level of proficiency. Like, it's absolutely required. And that can be really challenging for some who have never taken any kind of piano. If you have never even played an instrument before, but then you're trying to get into school for voice, a lot of times you're coming in and everyone is either expecting or already has a certain level of proficiency when it comes to music. That is awesome. If you guys want to send some gifts in, it's much appreciated. It definitely helps these master classes, but it's not necessary today because I'm not singing too much. I did most of my singing already. So hello from Menifee, California. Hello, Pamela. How are you? Let me ask you, are you in music? I'd love to see how many music people are in here. It'd be great to see who I'm talking to. Madam, for you, a sopranos can sing Puccini. Is that a question, Francesco? Are you asking, can you sing Puccini as a soprano? Of course you can. He loved his sopranos. Of course. So, piano, music theory, choir. And typically, you're gonna wanna be in at least 2 choirs also. Guys, I'm talking about every semester. I'm not talking about all of the 4 years. I'm saying semester 1. Year 1, okay? You play the piano, then you're already halfway there, at least when it comes to the theory part. Because a lot of the theory you're gonna learn is gonna come from, like for me, I'm gonna just give you an example. I played violin since I was in 5th grade. It was a huge wake-up call and a rude awakening for me when I started to play, or when I got into college, because I knew the treble clef, treble staff, no problem. Bass, I had no idea what I was doing. So it wasn't until I actually got into college that I even understood bass clef. Huge disadvantage for me. So that's something then you have to get caught up. All right. How many of you are students? Oh yes, Prima Diva Live is asking you all, how many of you are students? Doctor of Musical Arts here, oboe, performance, bachelor, and masters. Nancy, then you can absolutely attest to this, even if you're not a vocal major. You know, when it comes to music, it is incredibly rigorous. And if you got a performance bachelor's at that, then you know. However, the voice is a incredibly unique instrument in that whatever your frame of mind is, your emotional state, that's gonna play into your voice as well. And so you have to keep that in mind. And we haven't even gotten to that part. All right, so again, let's go back to what this is. You have to have your core classes, which are like 4 classes plus your foreign language. This is for voice majors here, guys. Music theory and ear training and sight singing kind of go hand in hand, but they typically switch or separate those 2 classes into 2 different classes that you still have to take. Piano. And here are some of the classes that you will take throughout the time that you are in school. Some of them, the prerequisite is music theory, piano. You'll have music history, vocal pedagogy. Typically you only do that 1 semester. Personally, I think you need to take vocal pedagogy every year, but that's just me. We only had to take 1 semester of it. Diction, and this is going to then branch out into different kinds of diction. You're going to have Italian diction, French diction, and German diction for you US voice students, okay? So that's what you are going to have to absolutely take. There aren't very many that give you options to take other diction, at least in the US, unless it's a very nuanced school. Conservatory might be a little bit different, but when it comes to a 4-year degree, those are the 3 languages you need to understand the diction, okay? What if I don't even know how to sing at all? Then you don't know how to sing at all. Are you saying, do you still want to get the degree? Then this is what you have to do. So you have to ask yourself, at the end of this masterclass, are you cut out? Don't ask me, what if this? I ask you, okay, you don't know how to sing at all? Will you do this and this and this and this and this? So I'll tell you, my first semester, I think I had 12 classes, a 12-class course load. Oh, and I didn't even tell you guys. Music Forum / Performance Lab. It's called different things depending on what school you go to. This is a class that you must attend every week, at least once a week, either as an audience member or as a, hey, Belinda, what's going on? Welcome in, welcome in. Everybody welcome my moderator, Belinda, Lady B. You will either be a participant in these music forums or you will be an audience member watching your peers and colleagues perform. That's what Music Forum is all about. It's to perform constantly during the semester what you've learned, okay? And that's in your studio. Studio is another class you need to take at least once per week. Almost every university will have studio, and studio is comprised of typically between 5 to 15 other voice students that sing in the same studio because they have the same voice teacher, okay? Not everyone has the same voice teacher. If you have the same voice teacher, you will all meet collectively once a week, and that's another place where you will hear each other. You'll hear each other practice, and you will hear each other perform, okay? And on top of everything else, you will have your voice lessons. Your voice lessons is what you got there for, right? That's the whole reason why you're in there. You want to learn how to sing, okay? In your voice lessons, you will meet with your voice teacher at least once per week, sometimes 2, just depending on where you're at. All right? Do people with accents, does that impact their diction? 1,000,000% it impacts their diction. I had a very difficult time pronouncing Italian, sometimes still do, depending on the word, like the double T's and double D's because of my Spanish. It really messed me up because if I speak Spanish, then I'm trying to say those same words, you know, say the Italian words in Spanish, or at least how to say it like that. And you just have to really work at not doing that. So yes, it absolutely can have an effect. So let me recap really quickly. That's just the first semester. Voice lesson, class 1. Master class 2. Studio, that is studio. Music forum. Music theory, broken up into 2 classes, okay? Piano. This is you're gonna take piano your first 4 semesters. And your 4 main classes, and then your foreign language. That's 11. I feel like I'm missing 1. That can easily be your first semester, guys, okay? So especially when you're taking your core classes, that's a lot of work. So you need to expect that you will be at school from sun up to sundown. You live at school. You don't have an extracurricular or whatever. I didn't know anything about sororities. I didn't know anything about fraternities. In some music schools, they actually have their own sororities and fraternities. I think that's great. For me, I didn't have time for all that. I was running a business at the same time I was in school. It was incredibly difficult. Do you like the Vocalise by Rachmaninoff? I love it. It's beautiful. I love it, love it. She sings Diez. Yes, I do. Diez Harasho. So that is just the course load, okay? Sophomore year is pretty similar. What's gonna happen at the end of junior year? First of all, junior year, you're done with the core classes. You can drop those 4 or 5, right? So then you focus primarily on music. It doesn't, yeah, shoes are off. We're getting serious now. All right. Come junior year, you really get to focus on the music aspect. I'm doing my best to go through this as quickly as possible, but let me tell you, it's a lot. It's a lot, okay? Your weekly and core requirements by your junior year is a lot of the same, except now you have to take into consideration you are doing, trying to think, you are, oh, that's what it is, your recitals. Let me back up a little bit. Your freshman year, at the end of every semester, you have what's called juries. Same goes for sophomore year. So you have your voice lessons, you have your studio/masterclass performances in front of your peers, small group. You have the music forum, which you're performing in front of all the music school, at least like 3 times this semester. Then you have your juries. You are always, always, always performing. Thank you so much, I appreciate you. It is a lot of work. It is a lot of work. Me, I like to stay busy. I like to be a high performer, but it was at times incredibly stressful. And I haven't even gotten to the juicy stuff, y'all. Like, honestly, this needs to be a part 1, part 2, part 3. I'm just giving you the basics, okay? By the time you get to your junior semester or your junior year, at the end of your junior year, you're doing your recital. If you do a recital, this is at night, essentially a concert. You got your piano and you have you, and it's a very basic but necessary part of moving on to be a senior. You are always, juries, by the way, juries and recital are the same. You are always vying to keep your spot in the music program, okay? It's not ever a given. You don't just get to stay in there. You are always needing to make sure you're on your toes and that you're practicing repertoire. You can never rest on your laurels. The moment you do, there's going to be somebody else that will take your spot. By the way, did I mention how highly competitive this degree is? It's like sports. It's unlike any music genre out there. Classical music is extremely competitive, no matter what you play. But trust me, there are about 9,000 voice students in the US on average every year entering. And that's not even mentioning who's auditioning, okay? It's about 9,000 voice students in music programs in the US alone. Not to mention the fact that in Europe, a lot of times those voice students are well ahead of American students in the sense that it's more common to be a polyglot, meaning you know a lot more languages in Europe than it is here. Okay, so we're not as exposed to multiple foreign languages here in the US as you are, let's say, in Europe. And that is something I learned very quickly when I started to meet some of my fellow colleagues and other people that had gone to school in Europe. I know a lot of them now. I had no idea before. So I heard if you climb a ladder, destroy everything beneath you. Yes. And that's the thing. This degree is highly competitive in that sense. We're going to talk even more about that in a little bit. So by the time you get to your junior year, you're doing a recital. Your recital, if you do it, you don't have to do a juries. Call it the juries. And the juries is essentially all those people that judged you when you first auditioned to get into the music program, all of those, the voice faculty, they're coming back to listen to you. What are they judging you for? Your intonation, your pitch, your diction, your emotion, your presence, your posture, your confidence, not too much confidence, just enough to be proficient, okay? Stay humble, everyone. That's kind of a joke because Queen of Opera, not very humble, you know? But You are expected to be very humble within the music program to a certain extent. Can you recommend 2 soprano pieces from both of those composers? Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were talking to me there. So I heard if you climb a ladder. I'm gonna try to see you guys' comments, but if I don't see them, I'm sure Miss Belinda can definitely catch them when I don't. Okay. That's just the course load, y'all, okay? Then comes senior year, same thing, you're doing a recital. If you do a recital, you have all the same requirements. Piano is already out the way by this point, by junior and senior year. Then you're getting into more nuanced courses that you have to take. Like I said, you have to take vocal pedagogy, you have to take music history, you have to take music analysis was one where we had to take pieces that the teacher would give us. We would have to break down the poetry, the IPA translation, International Phonetics, something is your best friend, okay? Get a good sheet music website. When I was in, it was everynote.com. I don't know if it still is. IPA, get a good subscription to that. If you don't know what IPA is, you better learn quick. It is basically the phonetic breakdown of the pieces you're singing. You need to understand it. You need to understand the poetry behind it, who wrote it. A lot of times the composer's not the one who's writing the actual lyrics. A lot of times it's coming from another poet and then they're writing the music, right? You have to understand it like the back of your hands when you're singing. It's not just get up there and sing and it comes from the heart. Oh no. Before you can do anything from your heart, you got to do it all from your mindset and from your repetition. It is repetition. It is very, 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 did I mention very? Cutthroat, okay? So let's recap really briefly. Weekly voice lessons with your teacher, weekly masterclass, and this goes on for the entire time that you're in school. Performance lab / music forum, where you either are an audience member, you are required to go to music forum, and you almost always get 0 credit for music forum. You have to be in it anyway. It's required, but you don't get credit. Daily practice and review of lesson recordings to apply teacher feedback. That's why I wrote this. Listen, you want to record yourself singing all the time. I can tell you, I think people are now more accustomed to this because it's just common practice to see yourself singing on social media if you put yourself out there. If you're a voice major, you need to be putting yourself out there. I don't know how else to tell you, like absolutely 1,000,000%. Is this why every opera singer always looks put together? I would say absolutely. You know, you come to expect a very specific kind of image when it comes to, you know, as a classical musician, classical dancer, it's very, yes, poised and put together. And that's another thing. Belinda, thank you for saying that. They expect you to dress very specifically in your performances and your auditions, and they will drill this. You need to look very put together, as a matter of fact. That's an excellent point that I didn't put anywhere. Don't come up there looking flashy. Don't be too flashy. The only time you can really be flashy is during your recital, because it's your moment. This is your recital. And don't get cute with what you sing either. Trust me when I say you don't get to pick your repertoire. Your teacher is picking your repertoire because they know you. If they're good, if they're a good teacher, and I really hope for all of you that are in this, you get a really good teacher because you are entrusting them for your entire time being in the School of Music to guide you, not just vocally, but emotionally, mentally, and all things. Hello, Holly. Friday, I'm in there. Could you please do me a favor? Have a tiny bit of water. Thank you. So, yeah, you definitely need to make sure, when can you choose your own rep? Like, never. You can choose it when you graduate. You can choose your own repertoire when you are the one putting on your own productions. That's why I like to put on my own productions, because I get to sing what I want and I do what I want when I want. But until then, you are allowing your teacher to do it for you. Don't push back too much, but if something hurts vocally, if something is like, it just doesn't feel comfortable, then you need to speak up, absolutely. Do you sing deep from your stomach or more from your throat? Absolutely from your, I would say from as low as possible. We'll talk about that in another masterclass, but when it comes to singing, you're never singing from your throat. You never want to have tension here, otherwise you'll never last. Always want to breathe deep, and then you're focusing your vocal cords from here. So we'll talk about the nitty-gritty on another day. All right, choir participation, and that's another thing I didn't even mention. So yeah, if you're in a choir, that would be the 12th class in freshman year, choir. And if you have a second choir in, like me, I always try to go as advanced as possible. So I do the university necessary choir you have to do, I think, for like 3 years. And I also did chamber singers, and you have to audition on top of the audition for that. Chamber was a select group of good singers. They were, more advanced than others. Love your dress. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. So yeah, junior and senior recitals are capstones. You are at a pass or fail. If they're like, you're not ready to go on to senior year, you don't go on. It's that simple. And yes, trust me, it happens. All right, now let's talk about something very, very important. Now you know, in a nutshell, the logistics of what it takes and what courses that you need to take. Now comes the mindset. When you get into a school of music, and I've talked to so many that say this, not just in the US, but we're gonna focus on the US for a little bit. It is very cutthroat, okay? There's no way to sugarcoat that. It's very competitive. It's very critical. You will be criticized from the moment you walk into the door. Expect that everyone that you meet, from the faculty directors to your accompanist, trust me, the accompanist is most certainly in cahoots with all the voice teachers. They all know each other very well, and that will never change, even in your career, professionally speaking. Always lead with, I like to refer to Robert Greene's last law in the 48 Laws of Power, be like water. You need to be as easy to work with as possible. Trust me, if you're not easy with your accompanist, and that's another thing, you need to have an accompanist. An accompanist is going to be, if you get a good accompanist, they will go throughout the whole 4 years with you, okay? You need to be as easy as possible to work with. It is a very cutthroat industry as it is, and everyone around you always expect that any conversation you have, you don't want to have it. And I think this is a good rule of thumb in general in any profession that you're doing. But I can tell you, when it comes to being a voice major, I have seen mistakes that people have made. You always want to be as easy as possible to work with, and you always want to act as if a camera is on you at all times, okay? There is always going to be somebody, especially if you have, and we haven't even talked about the talent versus effort part, we'll talk about in just a second, but if you're good, if you have a natural talent too, and you are being recognized by the faculty and other peers as somebody who has a good voice and somebody who's well practiced and they show up well and they always have themselves together, trust me, they don't like it. And I'm talking about your peers. They don't like it because you are instantly competition. It's nothing personal. It just is how it is. And that's not going to change. That will always be that way. So you have to be mentally sharp. You have to expect that people will give you unwarranted advice all the time. Their job as a faculty is to constantly criticize you and tell you, you need to do this better, this is this, and this is this, and this is this. So much so that a lot of people, you'll see them sometimes here in the live stream, or you'll see them in, even for my posts, they'll say, you need to release the tension in this, and you need to do that. Because by its very nature, this career that you are embarking on is a very, very critical one. And even though instrumentalists do see that, they see some form of that for sure. I'm not saying that they don't. Voice, especially, female vocalists, especially when there are so many sopranos out there, you guys have to be on your toes and mentally sharp. So just as important as it is to be vocally prepared all the time and constantly in the practice rooms, practicing your repertoire, understanding it all the time, you have to be mentally sharp and practice that aspect of it as well. Was it lonely in school knowing people were always watching you? I'm a loner by nature, so not really. I kind of liked, even in high school, I was always very much like this. When I would walk down the hall, I was very popular in high school, but even still, I didn't really talk to people until summertime or after school. So I used to get made fun of because they're like, dude, DeAndrea is just like this. They're like, are you mad? I'm like, oh no, I'm just focused, very focused. So for me, no, but I did absolutely know people and heard people say it can be very lonely. Even as a career, people talk about that, like it could be very lonely. So I think it really has to do with what your mindset is. What are you in this for? Are you in this for yourself? Are you in this for camaraderie? If you're in it for camaraderie, this isn't the career for you. I'm just going to tell you now. It's not for that. If you're willing to wait years and years and years and years and years, and you've essentially made it. It depends on what your level of making it is, but let's just say the very traditional route, which is what 99.9% of singers go in for. If you're in it for that, you have to wait a very long time to have that. I'm not saying you're not going to make friends, but always remember that those friends, your peers, are also potentially your competition, especially when you're in school. The academic world is largely critical, okay? That's my main point. And you need to be okay with that. You need to understand that. Danny, thank you so much for the chili pepper. Thank you. Thank you for that. You have to understand that this is going to be a very lonely road. And if you're not used to that, then it may be tougher for you. I remember I had to switch my voice teacher one semester because she had too many students, and we got switched to, some of us, only like 3 of us got switched to a new voice teacher. And I was like, that's kind of a devastating thing when you're used to working with one specific voice teacher and then you get switched over. But they were making some shifts, which is not typical. You don't typically move teachers. But when we did, I was actually grateful because she taught us, this new teacher, something no other teacher had ever said. She gave us a book. It wasn't about vocal pedagogy. It wasn't about technique. It was called Mental Toughness, and it was specifically designed for singers. And I was very appreciative of that semester going with her because I would have never, at least at that time, taken the time to read a book that was talking about how you have to mentally be prepped for this. The mentals is everything. You love my voice? Oh, you're live. Thank you. Maureen, hello, how are you? And I'm sure, Maureen, you can attest to this because I know that you went to school for music, so a lot of what I'm saying, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about what it takes to actually be classically trained in school in the US. So that book, I think it was called Mental Toughness, or How to Be Mentally Tough. I think it was Mental Toughness. It was amazing because it really talked about that. Can you sing in Italian? Yes, I can. Lucy Mars, stick around and you can hear me sing in Italian on Mondays and Fridays, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. This is about the masterclass. So if you come in on Wednesdays, we are talking all about the voice, FAQs, Q&As, but today is about what it takes to become a classically trained singer. Oh, let me burst some bubbles now. Don't ever tell anyone if you are in school and you're training to be an opera singer, don't tell anyone you're an opera singer. That is very touchy. It's a very, very touchy subject for many people. If you ever tell someone I'm an opera singer while you're still training, trust me, you're gonna have 10 people in line to put you right back in your place and tell you. Until we tell you, until the industry tells you and crowns you and deems you worthy of being called an opera singer, because just because you're classically trained doesn't mean you'll do opera either, by the way. So that's another misconception. It depends on what you want to do. I was saying from the time I was in school, I'm going to be an opera star. But if you ever tell someone that you're an opera singer, big no-no. Because the traditional way of thinking is until you have reached La Scala, until you have reached the Met, until you have reached insert famous opera house, you cannot call yourself an opera singer, okay? So, keywords, traditional. But all around in school, that's just how it is. My teacher said the biggest asset in opera is lots of stamina. Woo! Don't I know it? I agree. Yeah, well, I do what I want, but I get a lot of flack for doing what I want as well. So you have to be ready for it. You have to be very, very mentally tough. Okay. You can also see, like, if you just look at some of the comments that I receive, how many people. It's very easy to point out the people that live in academia and probably either are still in school or they mentally have never graduated, okay? Because those are the first ones to criticize on the way that your vowels are pronounced and all those things. Just because you go to school and you hear those things and you hear someone else say it wrong doesn't mean you always speak it out loud. But those who kind of stick to the academia mentality that never really do it professionally, they definitely haven't put on like their own kind of productions, that maybe they're just like, I just show up, I sing and I go home. Those are the ones that you will typically see criticizing your technique well after you graduate. Okay, so that's just a side note. That really never that never changes. Yes, honesty is the best policy, because I've been sitting here for the last few months. Every time somebody says, do you think anybody has what it takes to be an opera singer? They never really say it like that. They just say, could I become an opera singer? And I always say yes, and I don't think I should. I think I should give you the nitty-gritty truth of it. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. I never said I was an opera singer. I always said I sing opera. Big difference. Exactly. Exactly. So it wasn't even for myself. When I graduated, I was already graduated. I was the opera realtor, right? When I was doing real estate once I graduated, because I didn't go directly into this initially. We started a brokerage, we owned our company, or we started our company, and I was the opera realtor, but I never said opera singer. Once I started, even when I did, I went, wow, that's, I don't know if I want to go there. And then I realized I do, because I do what I want. I'm a countertenor from Nigeria. I have a passion to be an opera singer, but I don't have any connections. Oh, that is a good thing. Connections. That is what I was going to talk to you guys about at the very end. We only have like 20 minutes left here, so I'm going to do my best to get all of this in. And if I don't, guys, next week's going to be a part 2, okay? This is a very big deal here. The world is full of critics. Ebony Elephant, it is very true. And in this arena, especially so. Like everyone is a critic. Before I go back, once you come to realize the majority of people that are doing, and I hear this all the time and it's true, if they're doing better than you or they're really busy doing their thing, they're too busy to come in and criticize you and say you're doing something wrong because you're doing it however you're doing it. I am scared to tell you my biggest connection. Maureen, if you tell me you have a very big connection and you're not utilizing it, that's the only reason you should be scared. Dagnabbit, you better use your connections, girl. Okay, so like I said, your mental framework needs to be one of a laser-focused mindset. Understand why you're there. You are not there to make friends, okay? If you're there to make friends, it is a very expensive way to make friends. Expensive in your energy, expensive in your money. It is not a cheap degree, okay? Hello, love, how are you? So my connections are non-existent. Yeah, connections are very, very important. I have an FAQ I'm gonna go through as quickly as possible, and we're gonna talk about connections. Am I too old to start singing opera? Okay, so this is one of the questions I get. Listen, to answer this, commitment is everything. So if you're ready to put in about 5 to 10 years of work, because the undergrad degree is just the beginning. I haven't even started on the master's program, the conservatories, the opera festivals, the many auditions that you will go on, okay? The studio singer programs you'll do. The majority of opera companies also have their studio singers where they commit like a year or 2 to be there. Sometimes it's paid, sometimes it's not, and you're there to be like their secondary role fillers while you're learning real life opera experience. Okay, can a countertenor sing the Queen of the Night aria? Well, are you the one that's the countertenor? Because if you're asking me that, I would ask you, have you ever tried? If you're a countertenor, your range is fairly low. So if you do, and you're a male countertenor, you're going to be pinched a lot with a high larynx. I mean, that's the reality of it. So if you dropped the key down and you do it in the key that you want to, well then absolutely. So, saludos de Mexico. Hello, hello, welcome from Mexico. Okay, so it really depends on how much are you willing to commit. Are you willing to commit the next, I'm gonna say 10 years. Are you willing to commit the next 10 years to your voice? And then we're gonna talk about the career part, okay? Not today, but I'm saying that's part 2. Then we'll get into that, okay? How many hours a day should you be practicing? Let's just put it this way. I went into the practice room before classes, and some of my classes started at like 8, and I was in there after, and I was in there in between. For every hour someone else is practicing, you should expect to be in there for 2. And this is if you're going for great, and I'm only gonna talk to you if you're going for the greatness aspect of it. Is it still possible to start a family with a successful career? Is it possible to start a family with a successful career? Of course it is. What do you want to do more? What do you want to do first? That's the question. And I'm getting these questions over from YouTube if you guys are on there as well. Not in the States. The degree is the training. The degree is the training. Not in the, well, I think I missed something. So let me answer these other questions. Can I be an opera singer without a degree? No. No, you cannot. Don't do it. And it's not because you wouldn't be good enough, practice enough, understand everything. It's because and that's what this is all about, okay? Don't be fooled. I don't care if somebody tells you you can. No, you can't. Unless you plan outside of school to get the piano classes for 2 years, get the vocal pedagogy, get the diction, learn the languages, and then you're essentially in school anyway. So no, the answer is no. You cannot. All right. Do I need to know piano before starting? No, but you will learn piano as a part of your degree. It's inevitable. You have to learn how to do some basics. And also you want a certain level of proficiency. When you're reading music, you want to understand if the piano is doing a specific thing on a specific spot, and you're the one always, remember, you were always leading your accompanist. They are expecting you to lead when you sing, right? So you want to know what they're anticipating as well. TikTok doesn't like the word. Oh, thank you for telling me. See, I'm learning something new every day. Thank you for telling me. Thank you. So you absolutely will. You won't have a choice. So do you need to know it ahead of time? No, but it would absolutely help you. What are your thoughts on Dimash? I don't know who Dimash is, and I feel like someone asked me that before. I don't know who that is. Thank you, co-producer. Thank you so much for the heart hands. Love it, love it. Thank you for telling me though, Belinda. Yeah, they get you. All right, do I need to know piano? No. What happens during juries? I kind of explained this, but if you guys don't know what juries are, juries is essentially the end of the year final exam in music. So in music, you don't have a final exam for the voice per se. It's not a written one, it is a performance one. All right, so you absolutely need to understand that in juries, what happens is you're singing, typically you'll choose your first song just like you do with auditions, and then they'll choose a second or third song for you. And you tell them what you're singing. And that is something that you go over with your voice teacher before the juries. And then your voice teacher will also be on the panel as well, okay? So what happens is you're singing the pieces that you sing. They're going to judge you based on how you speak the language or how you're singing in the language, your diction, how well you're pronouncing it, where are you breathing. It is so nuanced. It is so technical. Okay, so did you breathe, like for instance, Sempre Libera is on here? Those are the little. If I took a breath in the middle of a phrase, it'd be like, don't do that. You know, do they silently judge the voice teacher? Does who silently judge the voice teacher? Oh, you're saying like because it's a reflection on the teacher? Of course, of course. So of course your teacher wants you to do well. Absolutely, I think that would be for anything. Yeah, so I wish I were a mosquito. Sounds like a mosquito, doesn't it? All right, what happens, let's see, why is diction training so important? Because clarity equals connection, okay? So when you are in school, it is very important that they know that you know what you're singing about. So when you start a song, when you start a new piece, an aria or an art song is a classical piece that's not tied to an opera specifically. Not only do you have to learn how to sing it, you have to know where you're breathing, you have to know your diction, you have to know the poetry behind the piece like we talked about, you have to understand who was the poet. What period did they live in? A lot of times, if you look on your program on a recital, you need to have the composer's birth and death as well. Like it is so technical. You need to know every little bitty thing, and you need to understand all aspects of it. You need to have the phonetic breakdown, translation of the piece, at least when you're doing it with your voice teacher. Like you're not gonna go into a recital and say, okay, and here's the phonetic breakdown. You don't do that. But in juries, the panel of teachers are allowed to ask you, what does this piece mean? What does it mean to you? How can you relate to it? And you have to explain it to them. You do have to start out by telling them, and this piece is about blah, blah, blah. Okay? Then you sing it, then they ask you questions about it. It is a give and take, like it's like going back and forth. So they really get to criticize you on these things. Something as simple as, and this is even something to this day I have to remind myself, I'm singing Visidarte. And somewhere along the lines, because I know for a fact, if I would have said Visidarte in my classes, with my voice teacher, she would have been like, what are you doing, right? But somewhere along the lines of singing this aria for over 20 years now, I started saying visitarte. Don't know. I don't know why, what happened. And someone kindly corrected me. This is one of those times where I was like, because it was diction and they were Italian. And I'm like, thank you. They were like, listen, it's visi. And I'm like, yes, of course it is. But you get kind of complacent. You don't want to ever get complacent. Always stay on your toes is my point. How do I get started again after not singing for 10 or 15 years? Georgie, do you have your degree and do you remember every single thing? Because if not, I'm going to be honest with you. If you haven't done it for 10 or 15 years, one of the best things that you can do is get back in school. Get back in school, start doing it all over again. And you might say, yeah, but then I have to do it all over again. And you have to do it all over again. I would ask you this. Here's my question to everybody who asks me these questions. How much do you want it? Are you asking just like passively, like, oh, what would I have to do? Or you're like, I want this more than anything. Because I'm going to be honest with you. I could sit here and tell you every little A and Z until I'm blue in the face. And I'm talking about just anybody here. But unless you really, really want it, you're not going to do it. I mean, isn't that the truth for anything? If you really, really want it, asking that question, you'll automatically know, okay, well, if I really want it, then that means I know what I did before. I know how intensive it was. Do I really want to go through that all over again? And if you're like, absolutely. It won't leave your heart, Georgie. I hear exactly what you're saying, doll, because that was me. I was in school for music. I left after my junior recital initially. And I felt like I had lost the heart to be in the traditional setting. It's not what I wanted. I knew without a shadow of a doubt that when I got my degree, and I was gonna finish, but when I did, I was not gonna go the traditional way. That's how the Queen of Opera was born, because I already knew I was ready for the flack, for the feedback, for the, what is it? I keep wanting to say kickback, what's the word? What am I looking for? I was ready for the pushback from everyone, the naysayers, because if you go the non-traditional route, if it looks any different than what the 99.99% do, it is going to definitely come with heavy criticism. And so I thought, when I left, I was in Hawaii, I was singing opera over there, and I'm like, if I go back to this just to get that degree, because at that point I had gone through my recitals, I had taken all the classes, everything. I'm like, is this something I really want to commit to? Knowing I don't want to go the traditional way. And for me personally, and this is only a handful of us in the world, and I know pretty much all of the other ladies who do this, very similar to me, where we produce our own shows. So the ball and the leverage is a lot different. We'll talk about that on the career side of things on part 2. But I knew that if I did it, it was going to be with the intent to do it myself. I was the director, I was the producer, I was the owner of everything. And so that was going to look a little different. I had to learn a lot more about business, a lot more about the mindset of people and how that works and navigating in the community. And a loss of connections. That is what leads me to my very ending thing about this on part 1. A lot of times people will say, can I just get my undergrad degree and then stop? You can. My question would be, what are your connections like? In your family? Is your family funding what you're doing? Because if you want to stop at your undergrad degree, then you have to understand that now your connections are everything, which is why I said it's very important. I didn't say this, but I'm going to say it, who you know, and the kind of attitude you have with people too. So you have to be easy to work with. The easier you are to work with, the more people are going to want to bring you back in, okay? We tell this to our kids constantly. We're like, understand that it is always better to have a positive mental attitude in classical music. Shut your mouth when you don't need to speak. No one needs to know your opinion about everything. Me, I'm very opinionated. I talked too much when I was in school. I was a freedom fighter. I was fighting for everyone's rights. That doesn't help you. If you're in it for you, you need to focus on you, okay? Your connections are huge. So if you are like, okay, I got my BA, I wanna go ahead and move into my career. All right, well now let's just say that, because we'll talk about the other side of things, my side of things on another time, but briefly, if you're doing it the traditional way, you have to understand now you need to start funding your auditions, funding your opera fest, funding whatever you're trying to get in front of everyone. Sign up for Opera Base. That's a platform. If you know, you know. You need to start funding so much. So do you have family that's going to pay for it? Do you have a spouse who's going to pay for it? Someone's paying for it. Don't shy away from that fact. That's one thing, if I'm being honest, they never talked about in school that they 1,000,000% should have. So many of us were disillusioned into believing it just naturally comes, and that's not how it works. Okay, so after you get your voice going, you need to understand career-wise what you're up against. Now you're a professional. Now you're putting on your big boy pants and you need to go out there and you need to start acting like an entrepreneur as well. Because until you're contracted, you are an entrepreneur. You're doing this all on your own, baby. So, and like I said, I have a handful of friends who do it where it's self-produced and self-funded. Their moms or their families produce their shows, or they produce their shows. They have a patron. Like for me, for instance, when I started this, I had multiple patrons helping me, still do. I have patrons that see me doing what I'm doing and they're like, here's a studio, here's a car, here's money, because they want to see you do what it is you're doing. But that's not typical. I don't know any other opera singers that have regular patrons like I do. So I set it up that way. But it's not always the case. So interesting, because diva was originally a female opera singer. Now the term has a different meaning. Do you mean because it has a negative connotation? Respect and master your funding abilities. Be aware of who surrounding you, supporting you. Lady S, I couldn't agree more. And you have to also understand, yeah, what your boundaries are, what you're willing to put up with when it comes to that as well. You have to be so mentally tough. Can a natural-born opera singer lose their voice due to not singing for a while? Sure you can. If you don't practice something, you're gonna lose it. I lost it for a little bit. I had to come back in and I had to work. I've never worked harder. I've worked harder post-school than I did in school. And I thought I was a hard worker. I thought I was the hardest worker. And then I realized that that was nothing compared to what I had to do for my career. You have an incredible support system with your hubby. Yes, I do. He's so fantastic. I love your dress. Thank you so much. I feel like I missed something here. What do you mean by naturally born opera singer? Okay, got it. I see that. Yeah. So if you, and I just answered that question, I'm assuming you're saying if you are a natural singer, because no one's born natural opera singer. That's like saying I'm naturally a prima donna ballerina. You're not. No one is. You may have a natural proclivity to voice. You might have perfect pitch like me. You might have a natural talent for music and can have long-term pitch memory like I do. But no one's born an opera singer. You might have the heart for it, but you have to train it. It is absolutely a skill that you must train. Have your husband to sing once for us. No thanks. I'm sorry, I love you so much. He knows it's true. He's not upset, trust me. The hardest is to remain focused on your own objective and ambitions. Yes, yes, I couldn't agree more. Yes, you have to focus on you. You gotta focus on number one, which is you. Do you have to be fluent in Italian, French, and German? No, but you absolutely, it would help if you knew one of those languages. Specifically, if you can speak fluently in Italian, you're so golden, because a lot of what you sing is going to be in Italian. Some people just focus on like German, like Jessie Norman was very good with German. She didn't just focus on German, but she did a lot more German later than I saw her do anything Italian. So thanks for showing the way with hard work and grace. I do what I can. I'm here to help you guys, because I'm going to tell you, I feel like one of the things, if somebody would have told me earlier on everything I'm telling you, I think I would have, if nothing else, felt a lot more mentally equipped for this and say, okay, now I know what I'm in for. I had to learn the hard way. I had to learn through a lot of trial and error, okay? But if I hadn't, I don't know if I would have become the Queen of Opera, because I would have been too terrified to call myself the Queen of Opera, let alone an opera singer, before everyone else said that it was okay. You know, so am I Jennifer Lopez? See, I'm whatever you want me to be, baby. My cash app is Queen of Opera. So that is everything in a nutshell. The biggest thing, like I said, the biggest takeaway though, is you need to understand that this is just as much mental as it is vocal, okay? You have to understand that you need to be okay with, fall in love with the boring parts, the tedious parts. The one thing that used to drive me insane when I had voice students was I would tell them what they had to do to practice, and then they would come back to the next lesson and they didn't do it, and they would say, oh yeah, because I did blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, What does it have to do with your lesson? You have to be ready. And it would drive me crazy. This is coming from someone who is highly disciplined because I didn't have a choice. I went to school for it. I was paying money for someone to be that strict with me. And sometimes, unless someone is charging you a lot of money to do something, you're not gonna listen. You're not gonna take them seriously. So yeah, Queen Noir Suite. I'm not sure what that is. Is it an aria? Do opera instrumentalists have to study opera as well? Or is that, what do you mean? Are you talking about those who like play in the orchestra? So you're talking about strings, you know, things like that. Do they need to study opera? No. If they're an instrumentalist, they are studying. I will tell you the majority of the like orchestra, they're studying far more than just like Puccini and Rachmaninoff. They're studying Beethoven, they're studying Strauss, but not his vocal pieces, his instrumental pieces. They're studying Schubert, they're studying Stravinsky, they're studying, I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on when it comes to composers. So yeah, I mean, but at some point or another, they might be in an ensemble where they're playing, you know, the orchestra because somebody has to play it, you know. So, but they don't have to learn the vocal aspect of it. I wouldn't say that it would hurt, for sure. Yeah. So that's part one, guys, okay? I have so much more that I want to tell you, and this is where it dives in and gets into the nitty-gritty of the mindset, okay? This is the career side. I would love to explore that with you and talk to you guys more about that career side, because this is where I'd like to say it's where it starts to get a little more fun. I want to finish what I was saying a second ago, because I realized I kind of diverted before I get off of here, is that for me, and this will lead into part two, the career side, for me, I knew if I go back, I have to be okay with going the non-traditional route and learning all I can and being okay with the fact that I'm not going to do it the way everyone else is. I'm going to give you an example. Totally unrelated to music. My husband knew he wasn't going to he wasn't going to re-enlist in the Navy, okay? He was in for 4 years, and he knew for a fact that he wasn't going to re-enlist. And when you are in the process of perhaps re-enlisting or getting out, they try to beef you up and hype you up and say, you know, oh, you have to stay in for another 8 years. It'll help you so much. It'll help your kids. It'll help your wife, blah, 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 right? So he told everybody, yeah, I'm re-enlisting. And because of that, everyone was really friendly with him, and they were like, yeah, you're gonna love it, da, da, da. And it wasn't until right before he was about to get out, he told everyone, oh, no, I'm not re-enlisting. And they totally treated him different. The reason why I'm saying, and they were very upset. The reason why I'm saying that is, if you know, like me, and this is such a rare, I'm talking about like 0.001% of people, if you know that you still want to do this, you still want to get all the vocal training, and then you want to go out on your own and do it, get the training, okay? Focus on yourself, put your head down, mind your business, do what you have to do, show up for your teachers and your faculty, be a teacher's pet, don't worry about what everybody else says. This is not high school, this is not elementary school, be a teacher's pet. Let them love you, okay? Be easy to work with. Be the one that they call on first, okay? And then from there, as you're doing that, learn the business side. Learn what it's like to then do it on your own. What does that look like? And I can tell you before anything else, and I'm talking to such a small group of people here, but I'm saying it because this is what I did. And so I think it's worth noting that if you do it, you need to have the grit, you need to have the funding, you need to have the backing is what I'm saying, okay? And you need to have the persistence, and that ties into mindset, but you gotta be okay with being very persistent, putting on your own productions, understanding what acoustical awareness is like in a production, understanding what it is to rent a venue, understanding what it's like to get gigs just to get in front of people, all those things. Go live, that's a huge thing I didn't have when I was in college. We didn't have live streaming. That would have been awesome if we did. I probably would have been doing a lot of live streaming. So yes, this could have been a YouTube video. It's intriguing, and it is up on the other place as well, so you guys can look back at this later. I will keep it up for I don't know how long, but it'll be up. You can see this and do a recap. If you want all this information that I just told you, if you go to the link in my profile, the link tree, it'll be under my products. I have the full breakdown, and this is the point A to point D, or point A to point D, point A to point Z. All the things that you would expect to do, all the classes that you will expect to take, and when you're taking it, a year by year breakdown to really just give you a good understanding of what that looks like. Or you could just screenshot it as I'm showing you, either way, but it is there, okay? So if you guys are interested to know, if you're really serious about it and you're like, I really wanna know what this is like, I'm ready to go all in, then it's there for you to get. You need to know how to have business competencies and learn to read a contract or pay a lawyer. Amen. I can tell you, because of real estate, I got so good at reading contracts like a fine-tooth comb, and that is why so many booking requests have not gone through, because when it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. It's as simple as that. And you have to be, above all else, you have to be willing to say no a lot. Kindly, sweetly. Be willing to say no. Do not chomp at the bit just because somebody offers you something. And that's it for today. That was a lot. I'm really excited to talk about this though, because honestly, guys, I'm such a nerd. You don't know a lot of what I've done and to get, and I don't say it like, you don't know what I've been through, bro. I'm just saying, you don't know that side of it, because I don't really talk about it, but I love to talk about it. And I have so much information that I'd love to give, that in these master classes, it's great to talk about it. So next week, we will know for sure. Maybe I'll do in-person voice lesson. I'm still considering it, because I really want, my daughter's in La Boheme right now with Opera Orlando, and my son, yay. So they are heavy into the practice. So I've been kind of like, maybe we should wait till La Boheme's done. So we might do that. La Boheme Air, they debut, their first show is in 3 weeks, October 3rd. So after that's done, she's gonna be down here with me and my daughter, and you guys can see in front of, in real time what it's like to do a voice lesson with me, the Queen of Opera. Devil is hidden in the details. Amen. I arrived late, but thanks for the info and schooling and your passion. Thank you. Georgie, you're in Orlando. Then you need to come back, because we're gonna talk, okay? And I have shows coming up. So if you're saying, I've been out of it for 10 or 15 years, what would that look like for me? Stick around. I will show you. I will guide you. I will bring you under my wing and show you, at least in these live streams and in the performances that I do. I have a show coming up on Saturday. It would be great to see you there. So they started making good money because they handle their contracts. Amen, exactly. And that's one of the benefits of having all the leverage as your own person. We have our own company, Queen of Opera, for that very reason. So you don't have to be stuck in everyone else's. But at the end of the day, know when to say no. So guys, that's it. I'm glad I did that all before 4:30. I have to skip off to Anne Fontaine because I have a fashion show performance I'm doing this weekend, and I need to go pick my gorgeous outfit for it. I'm very excited. I will tell you guys more about that on Friday, but I will be back here to sing for you on Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern. And if it's skipped, there may be a possibility that it's later on in the day. Not if it's skipped. If I do it later on, I will let you know ahead of time, okay? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you, Belinda, for being here and moderating. That was a mouthful, right? I will see you guys on Friday. Bye-bye. And I will see you guys on Friday as well.